Hello and welcome to July 22nd, where we're reading Ezra chapters 3 through 5. Now, these chapters start with the idea that we really need to get the temple of God built, and by that I mean, let's start by getting the altar built. Once we get the altar of God built, then we can do some other things. Unfortunately, they stall out a little bit on building the temple due to some unforeseen opposition, but they start in a good place, and so you'll read through that as you read through this day's reading. If you want some specific points from those chapters, if you want to know what is in each individual one, in chapter 3, Israel comes up with this idea, right? They've returned from the land of exile to the land that they're supposed to be living in, but they're not exactly sure what to do. They're not exactly sure how to start. And so they start by building the altar to God, which is a brilliant idea. Altars were meant to sacrifice. The sacrifices were to bring God and man together again. God and man have split off. They have separated due to man's sin and God's inability to live with sin. And so God and man are separated. Hey, let's build an altar. Let's get some sacrifices going. Let's fix that problem. They take their first steps. They can't build a whole temple overnight, but they can build an altar. They can start sacrificing to God and get in a good relationship with him. Of course, after they build that altar, they decide to start building the temple, and it's in chapter 4 where they run into a little bit of trouble with that. There are some enemies around them, people who apparently worship God, allegedly, and they offer their services to build the temple. They want to build the temple with these individuals, these Israelites, but the Israelites say no, actually. We're not sure about you guys. We've never seen you before. You're Gentiles. You may claim to worship God, but you're certainly not worshiping him according to the law. How about we build the temple? We'll just build the temple instead. And at that, these enemies of Israel's really don't like it. And so they write to the king. They write a letter to the current king of Persia to get Israel to stop building. And the king replies, and they're not allowed to build anymore. Of course, you must obey God rather than men. And so in chapter 5, God sends two prophets named Haggai and Zechariah. We will read their writings later on at the very end of this year's reading. They come in and they prophesy to the people, and they say, hey, I know Persia told you not to build, but God told you to build. Which one do you want to listen to? And ultimately, the people turn around. They decide to build the temple again. The enemies write back to the now current king of Persia, which is a new king, Darius, who looks in the scroll, realizes, hey, they should be building, and he officially verifies it. And so in the middle of chapter 5, you see them writing to Darius, but we'll have to wait until tomorrow to see the full conclusion of his answer and his positive blessing towards them. I'll see you tomorrow. If you've got other things, you can go and check out the written page, and if not, I will see you tomorrow, July 23rd, where we're reading Ezra 6 through 8.